spun information, leaked information, and then spin it in every way we can to try to cause doubt and manipulate the public mind over whether or not our brave pilots were successful.
You could take spun information and then you take it and you spin it and you can spin it whichever way. You could spin it this way, like a Beyblade, or like a dreidel. You could spin it and then you could flip it and you could spin it and it was true. That's Pete Hegseth, our defense secretary, who was on it this morning, very upset with the media for reporting. And he kept going, why won't you do stories about how great everything was? That's not really the job of the press. I mean, they're supposed to give us the accurate information, right? And then he lashed out at reporters and so many different things. So we'll get into that. Welcome, everybody, to the morning show. I hope you're doing absolutely wonderful. As always, if while we're still live, you become a member by clicking the join button on YouTube, then I will thank you as we go along, because you deserve to be thanked. Before getting into more of Hegseth's meltdown this morning, I don't think it will compare. Nothing will compare for me in my heart to this Hegseth meltdown.
Looking forward to it. One question.
Can you share how your information about war plans against the Houthis in Yemen was shared with a journalist in The Atlantic? And were those details classified?
All right, if you're watching today, everyone do the head juts with me when I do the head juts, okay? This is going to be a group activity.
You're talking about a deceitful and highly discredited so-called journalist who's made a profession of peddling hoaxes time and time again, to include the hoaxes of Russia, or the fine people on both sides hoax, or suckers and losers hoax. So this is the guy that peddles in garbage. This is what he does. I would love to comment on the Houthi campaign.
Okay, so that just it has this little special apartment in my heart that it stays in, and I don't think we'll ever be able to replace it. But this one was pretty interesting as well. A Fox reporter asked Hegseth a very obvious question. So if you're joining us today and you haven't kept up with some of this, let me try to give you a quick rundown. She'll be asking, if I'm not mistaken, about the enriched. Are you certain none of that highly enriched uranium was moved in Iran? So this is all on the topic of the strikes on Iran. Trump wants us to believe that he won the 12-day war, as he's calling it. And that's why he should get one, or, get your head around this, 34 Nobel Peace Prizes. Kayleigh McEnany said instead of 34 felony counts, he should have 34 Nobel Peace Prizes. So that is justified because he won a 12-day war that for the U.S. only consisted of us bombing Iran. Peace, which was in the effort of destroying, obliterating, which is why we call it Oblitergate here on the show, and it's really catching on. A lot of people are calling it that. The nuclear program of Iran. That was the whole objective, right? So congressional approval be damned, risk of all-out war be damned. We're going to do this despite our intelligence community not saying they're as close to a nuclear weapon as we're saying that they are, and despite Trump being responsible for ripping up the diplomatic agreement that was preventing them from having a nuclear weapon in his first term. But let's do it. Let's accomplish it. So if they're going to do all that, they might as well freaking destroy the nuclear program. But then we got an initial intelligence assessment that says, obliterate? Not so much. Maybe set back 6 months? So all this, what are we going to just do it again? This is just going to be you know those people, this is weird. If you have this, go away. Get out. If you celebrate your half birthday, you're sick. You're sick. Isn't that what they call it? Like your 6 months birthday? And I had someone who made me have a full party for their half birthday. Not their birthday, which I feel like once you're past 21, it's sort of like, let's do birthdays, but let's not go too crazy. But this was somebody who wanted a half birthday party, meaning they're halfway to a semi-notable occasion, which is that you kept breathing for a year. It's my day. As I'm not going to quote that because some people would judge me for watching that show, but you know it if you know it. And that, I am completely forgetting what it has to do with this story that we're talking about. So let's charge forward. Oh yeah, like every half birthday, what are we going to go bomb Iran? Because we can only delay it 6 months with those bombs? No, that sounds ridiculous. That was the connection, and it was a good one. I appreciate you believing that as well. So here is Hegseth, very upset that anyone would suggest that the nuclear program wasn't completely and totally obliterated, and lashes out at Jennifer Griffin, a Fox reporter, saying, "You're one of the worst."
It's about highly enriched uranium. Do you have certainty that all the highly enriched uranium was inside the Four-Dome Mountain, or some of it, because there were satellite photos that showed more than a dozen trucks there 2 days in advance? Are you certain none of that highly enriched uranium was moved?
Of course, we're watching every single aspect, but Jennifer, you've been about the worst, the one who misrepresents the most intentionally. What the president says. I'm familiar.
I reported about the ventilation shafts on Saturday night, and in fact, I was the first to describe the B-2 bombers, the refueling, the entire mission with great accuracy. So I take issue with that.
I appreciate.
That's how you puppy heel. You know what I mean? Like, don't hit your dogs, obviously, but like, you know, you do the little like pop thing on their butt. You're like, no. And then they go, okay. And they like stop pulling on the leash. You're like, stop it. Heel, right? But it's soft, but heel. Or if you're my, I'm not going to say who, if you're one of my family members, you crawl on top of the dog and like nibble on its ear while you growl at it like a dog to show that you're the alpha. Yes, this is what I grew up in. Okay? You have to prove you're the alpha and then the dog will respect you. That's what I was told by my family member as I watched him crawl on top of our dog like a dog. Anyways, Jennifer Griffin just metaphorically did that to Hegseth, because did you watch how he was like, "You're one of the worst"? But unlike Trump, who will charge forward with that, she goes, "Wait, hold up a second. No, I'm not," and then makes her point, and Hegseth's like, oh my God, you're scary.
And in fact, I was the first to describe the B-2 bombers, the refueling, the entire mission with great accuracy. So I take issue with that.
I appreciate you acknowledging that this was the
issues.
first the most successful mission based on operational security that this department has done since you've been here, and I appreciate that. So we're looking at all aspects of intelligence and making sure we have a sense of what was where.
Wait, he totally backed off of that. That was awesome. Get it, Jennifer. Did he say, "I appreciate you acknowledging this was the most secure, operationally secure operation since you've been here done by this department"? Wait, that's a lot of stipulations. This was the most secure from the standpoint of leaks from this department under this leadership since my last half birthday while you've been here in this room today. Okay. I'm sure.
Give me a joke.
Give me a joke, damn it. I'm sure it was a great. I never doubt the strength or efficacy of our military. Sheesh. But that's not really what we're talking about. It could just be, regardless of how the mission went, whatever Iran did in preparation, moving stuff, going really, really, really deep into the ground, was enough to prevent total obliteration. Thank you so much to Jenny, who said, "See, Luke, we detest the TikTok torture outro too." I really appreciate you seeing me on that, because I felt like all of you... I felt like all of you were in on the mockery, that you were having fun with my suffering. But now knowing that you suffer too makes me feel better. Right now, we have a poll I'll describe for our podcast listeners up on the YouTube chat that says favorite CBC soundbite. CBC, of course, standing for the first one.
Clean, beautiful coal.
Which is that. And wow, it's very split. So we only did 4. Maybe tomorrow we'll do another 4, and then we'll do like the winner of the one from the 2 days goes against each other. But clean, beautiful coal's at 31%.
Clean, beautiful coal.
Can you do them as I go along? And then at 32% is I'm gonna come. Yes. I don't want somebody to be saying that. That's why I stopped. And then at 30%, you have the I don't snort cocaine. Let's see.
I don't snort cocaine.
And then the fourth one no one voted for, so we don't need to talk about it. Okay. Back to Hegseth. Let's see.
How many stories have been written about how hard it is to, I don't know, fly a plane for 36 hours? Has MSNBC done that story? Has Fox? Have we done the story how hard that is?
How many stories have been done about how my hair is slicked back perfectly? Do you know how long it takes me to do this in the morning? Pretty long. Thank you. How many stories have been done about how I have 4 American flags on me at all time? As I told somebody. Benny, right? Was it Benny? Come on, Cole. Come on. It's okay. We'll bring it back later.
What's up, guys? Have Benny.
That Benny.
It 2 or 3 times so that American people understand how difficult it is to shoot a drone from an F-15 or 16 or F-22 or F-35, or what it's like to man a Patriot battery, or how hard it is to refuel midair, giving the American people an understanding of how complex and sophisticated this mission really was. There are so many aspects of what our brave men and women did that, because of the hatred of this press corps, are undermined because people are trying to leak and spin that it wasn't successful. It's yours.
Pete, stop hiding behind. Stop using as a shield the bravery of our service members. Nobody's calling that into question, or the skill. We want a factual assessment of the outcome of a very geopolitically risky decision by Trump. That's what we want. I'm sure it's very difficult to fly those B-2 bombers for 30-something hours, to refuel midair. The other stuff he said, Patriot battery, something. I'm sure all of that is very complex. And to his question of do media outlets talk about it? Yeah. I was watching CNN. It was actually a little strange. While war was about to start, they were doing detailed analysis on this big magic board of exactly how these strikes happened, the details about the planes, the physical makeup of the bomb, the weight of the bomb, how the service members would fly from here to here. I saw that. So yes, they did do that, and you need to stop using the stories of the brave folks conducting these missions to distract from the questions about your leadership than this.
Let me read the bottom line here. President Trump directed the most complex and secretive military operation in history.
How? How is that true? Ron Filipkowski said unhinged Hegseth opens up his press conference attacking the media and ranting that President Trump directed the most complex and secretive military operation in history. Not D-Day, the Iran bombing. The most complex and secretive military operation in history. And we might not have even obliterated their nuclear program. It might have been 6 by my... You get the joke. Half birthday. We're going to have to do it again? Really? And it's the most complex and secretive military operation in history? I don't believe it. I don't believe it. And they were doing during this press conference. This is just so strange. This is General Kane. Raisin Kane. I think is his name, literally. Right? Isn't that Raisin Kane? They call him Raisin Kane. I said, wow. Yeah, that's it for sure. Now that I said it that way. Mm-hmm. And they're just showing videos in silence of what... I think some of these are real videos and some of these are like simulations of what the bombs look like, which doesn't answer our question at all. So he's not talking, so I'll just make noise so that podcast listeners don't think we disappeared. This is what it looks like when a building explodes. And now this is a simulation or a video of what happens when a bomb hits the ground. It goes under the ground and then it explodes. How dare you question President Trump? Do you see that video? The missile went into the dirt, but it's clearly an animation. Okay, can we move on? I feel like this kind of perfectly represents the state of the Trump administration right now, but just put in the form of people on a boat. So podcast listeners, it's just people on a boat, and then the boat hits some bad waves, some strong waves, and they just it's brutal. Now, I think it's okay to watch and make fun of, only because millions of people have already watched and made fun of it. But that looks like someone could have gotten seriously hurt. And for that, I am worried and concerned and sympathetic. But that's the Trump administration right now. And then CNN responded to a lot of the criticisms of them.
Despite the emotional speech and outrage from the defense secretary, what he said about the DIA assessment is what CNN reported on. His issue that he took about it being preliminary, about it being low confidence. CNN reported on all of this. I was looking back just to make sure that we had it all. Throughout the reporting process, CNN had reported that it is preliminary and, of course, can be updated, including these two parts.
Yeah, they said that over and over and over again. This is the thing about the criticism that comes from the Hegseths of the world. They don't even watch. I don't think they watch the outlets that they're criticizing. They just see Twitter. I think they just see, all right, get the Benny ready, okay? I think they just see Benny.
What's up, guys? It's Benny.
Talking about what mainstream media is saying, and then they go, oh, they must all be saying that we suck. They say we suck. They say they hate the military. They say they hate my slicked hair and my American flags and my suit. My suit's so well fit. And I think that's where he's coming from, not actually watching their analysis. Because I remember when this story broke, it was like caveat, caveat, caveat. This is just an initial assessment. This is just preliminary. It could change. This is what we know as of now. And then they go, they never even said it's preliminary. Yes, they did. They did. And then we get headlines like this: fears over Iran's missing 400 kilograms of uranium, enough to make 10 nukes, says the U.S. Have you said even once how hard it must be to be me? I think, okay, fine. Let's wrap up the Oblitergate with Jessica Tarlov.
I think that both messages matter a lot, and it in no way, no matter how quote-unquote successful it was, diminishes what our Air Force was able to pull off. And I know that that's something that we all need to continue to emphasize, that they pulled off something absolutely spectacular, and they deserve all of our respect. They risked their lives for us. In terms of the damage that was done, I do want to know how much it was, because there's a big difference between total obliteration and 6 or 7 months. And this back and forth with what the American intel community has been saying has been going on for a long time, since Tulsi Gabbard testified in March and directly contradicted what President Trump said. You have Mark Warner and Jim Himes, who are the ranking Democrats on the intel committees, who are saying the same thing as Tulsi Gabbard. You have the Israelis out there that are saying something different, and they are closer and probably have levels of access that we do not have. But it feels like at this point the American president trusts the Israelis more than he trusts his own people. And to your point, Harris, about limiting access to classified information for Congress, that's all Donald Trump wants. He wants to go it alone. He wants to consolidate as.
Yeah, that's that'll do it. You know what this reminds me of? Have you ever had a friend at all? Do you have friends? No, have you ever had a friend who you're with in some social setting? Like Jade and I have had this. We worked a different job together long ago, and we were both out in the lobby, and then our office was over here. We were out in the lobby, and I had this interaction with someone, and then walked into the office, and we sat down in our chairs, and I forgot that he was like right behind me. So then I pick up the phone and I'm telling someone the story, and I added like a lot of details. Like it wasn't really recognizable from the interaction that I had. The interaction was like, oh, hey. And I turned it into, what the hell's going on? Right? Like that degree of difference. And so I'm telling this story, and then I turn and I look at Jaden, and I'm like, oh, wait, he was there for this. He probably thinks this is so weird. And then he's just going like, no, yeah, that was it. And it was like such a sweet, aw. So then I told myself, if I ever, I said this back in high school, I said, if I ever create a YouTube show and it takes off, I'm going to hire him. That moment. But in that case, and other cases, right? You're in a party setting, you're telling a story, and the person was there for it, and maybe you add a little bit of exaggeration, and they nod along because they're a good friend. And I think that the Trump administration thought that their intelligence community was like that the intelligence community was like total obliteration. That was right, yeah. But they actually have a job to fact check the stories, and so they did. And it's awkward. It's when your friend goes, oh, no, that it wasn't. No, you didn't last for 10 minutes. You just lasted for 16 seconds with your, like holding your breath or whatever. And you're like, can you just, I'm trying to, really hard. Can you, But that's Trump with his intelligence community. Oblitigate. Oh, right. We're having fun with it. What the hell? All right. Motor said, during all this insanity, it reminds me of the lyrics to the song March or Die by Motorhead. Please look them up and read them. I think you'll agree. That's a big request for a $5 super chat, but okay. Thank you. March or Die, Motorhead. I almost typed Motorfister because of that username. Motorhead lyrics. This better be worth it. All right, here we go. The beast behind our eyes is loose. The day has come. I'm gonna come. We march to Armageddon, hungry for the war. I see the hated enemy. I see what I was taught to see. And one of us will bend the knee. We understand the law. The bloodlust jerks our legs to march. Fife and drum. Our eyes are fixed and fearless, searching for the war. All right, I'm tapping out. Yes, totally. I forgot what the point was, but I feel that for sure. My legs being jerked to march. Jaden kept putting up the live show graphic, but I kept ignoring it. If you could put it back up, thank you, Jaden. Please do, if you haven't yet. It's very exciting. It's near full capacity, which is amazing. LukeBeasleyShow.com/live. We're doing a live show, Austin, Texas. Be there. I'll meet all of you, and we have lots of entertaining elements to the show. I'm pumped. I honestly, when we scheduled it, I was like, what? Will people come? I mean, what? And people are coming. They're coming. Mike Galbraith became a member by clicking the join button on YouTube. I appreciate you so much. Rachel, the sexy trucker, said Zelensky looks damn good in Armani. Probably. Brett Polinus became a member. Thank you so much by clicking the join button on YouTube. All right. So we just talked about Oblitergate, right? Now we have to talk about Daddygate. Because
You're my daddy.
Yes. That was it. We covered yesterday the NATO chief responding to Trump dropping the F-bomb at Iran and Israel, and then doing the same thing he does with Russia and Ukraine, saying it's like two kids, you have to sometimes let them fight it out, which in war context is a very strange metaphor to use. And so he used it, and the NATO chief, who I didn't realize was so strange, but he's very strange. He sent this long text to Trump that was like, I just think you're so awesome, it's so strong, and I just but apparently he is very admiring of Trump or something, or playing that part. And he's seen what happens when you don't kiss Trump's rear end. You end up in the Oval Office being streamed at. So he said, yeah, it's like daddy has to punish the kids or something, talking about Trump, but with a daddy analogy. And that led to this question, which then we'll get to why I'm bringing this up again this morning.
Go ahead, back white, yeah. White jacket, yeah. Go ahead, give my mic. Hello.
Deborah Haynes from Sky News. Mark Rutte, the NATO chief, who is your friend, he called you daddy earlier. Do you regard your NATO allies as kind of children?
No, he likes me. I think he likes me. If he doesn't, I'll let you know. I'll come back and I'll hit him hard, okay? No? He did it very affectionate. Daddy, you're my daddy.
You're my daddy. Do you regard your NATO allies, though, as kind of like children in the...
Yeah, so that's where that comes from, leading to, in the Michigan legislature, this exchange.
A lot of people in America have come to think of President Trump as a sort of father figure, and indeed...
Who is your dad that you need Trump to be your dad figure? Trump, he cheated with a porn star while his wife was newly birthed, or was she pregnant? I think she had just birthed. Newly birthed, like newlyweds. Do you not know that phrase? He's the father that everyone needs, I guess. I don't... that's where we are. All right.
Father figure, and indeed, this morning, we even saw the leadership of NATO refer to him as daddy. So maybe in these resolutions going forward, we could have a little bit of recognition of, like, Daddy Trump is who we're going to oppose or something like that. Get creative.
This is a Republican. He's a Republican.
With it, but in the meantime, please vote no on these resolutions.
You don't want to know what daddy means in my community.
That's iconic. Yeah, this is just not the right context for this discussion, but the whole daddy thing is strange. It's just strange. Okay, it's strange. Let's be honest. It's weird. But so then the White House, I don't know. I don't feel like I can play this. Can I play this? It's going to get demonetized. I'll play it, guys, just for you. Daddy's home. Hey, 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 daddy. They caption this, the lyrics. And they post this song about Trump with the song about him being daddy. This is where we are. This is where we are. Okay, I came across Charlie Kirk saying that probably I should read some comments and then we'll get to this next story, which is pretty funky. Motor said I didn't have to read them on the show. That's funny. Sorry, misinterpreted that. MXSL has been a member for a month and said the live show will rock from Europe, and I don't want to get arrested at customs, but will there be a recording for members at some point? Yes, there will. It won't be live streamed, but we'll take the highlights out and play it for the members. Excuse me. Lincoln said Hegseth whining about leakers coming from the leaker in chief. Well, maybe second to Trump, who fills his bag several times a day. Huh. That feels like something strange. Les Lilly became a member by clicking the join button on YouTube. Okay, so Charlie Kirk, the MAGA guy, that's what you need to know about him. Who said that? What up, beta? He posted about the 4AM Club, which is a group of people, supporters of Kamala Harris, who had like a spiritual awakening, they're saying, in the middle of the night. Which is interesting on election night. Which is interesting to me because I had whatever the opposite of a spiritual awakening was on election night. I had whatever you call, I went hard to sleep emotionally. And that's recorded, actually. You saw my hair was drooping and I was like, hello, everybody. Trump won and I'm dead now. So Charlie posted saying, have you heard of the 4AM Club? It's being called the left's version of QAnon and is led by psychics and mystics on TikTok who describe an alternate reality where Kamala Harris won last November. They believe we're currently trapped in the wrong reality, but soon things will correct, at least as long as we believe hard enough. Good luck, ladies. Charlie Kirk says. Now, I have spoken out against conspiracies that pop up on our side, and that's important. Charlie Kirk, sit down. You pushed a bunch of election lies on your side, so you can just shut up about that. If you wouldn't speak out against Trump if he came out and said, ooh, I had a mystical spiritual awakening which proved the election was stolen, you'd be like, yeah, you did. Yeah, you did, daddy.
You're my daddy.
I don't even want to hear it from you, Charlie. But let's listen. This is the Free Press reporting on it. And I think she makes some speculative jumps about what people say. Then we'll go look at the originator of this group and what she's saying about what seems a little bit wacky.
Left-wing version of QAnon is here, and they believe that Kamala Harris really won the election. This group is called the 4 a.m. Club.
Basically, on November 6th, thousands of people were woken up around 4 a.m., and those people were called to anchor in the higher timeline where Kamala was the winner.
The call was sent out, and we received it.
It was founded by this woman who goes by Gia Prism on TikTok.
I am a psychic medium. I'm a healer.
She sort of gives downloads, as she calls them, from spirit.
This contest wasn't right. We will yet get a different result in the end.
If we vote next time, that's all we have to do, okay? I'm tired of this, ooh, but if we do this, we do. Just get your freaking ass to vote. Do you know how we lost last time? I know there's some things, and someone got mad at me. Something. I'm looking, I'm monitoring. I'll tell you if something is compelling enough, worth talking about. Okay. But I have not seen that yet. I haven't seen something that would prove definitively that the election wasn't what the outcome was, especially how clear and concise it was, which is bad. I hate that. But do you know what a huge trend was that caused that? A lot of people who had previously voted for Biden didn't go out to vote because they were discouraged. So we have the people, we can win. They just got to whip, and we got to encourage them to do so with a good candidate. We don't need, if you need to fund things and hold rocks and whatever, do it. But it's pretty simple. I promise. And we can win too. People are so pissed now. We don't need to believe there's an alternate timeline where Kamala... She lost, which is why now people are pissed. And so we're going to mobilize that pissed to win.
I was shown him falling from something to do with blood on the brain.
Okay, I'm seeing lower level leaders will be removed before the top ones.
It bears a striking resemblance to QAnon, except everything has been feminized. Instead of searching through Reddit boards and 8chan to find what they're looking for, they go deep within themselves, trusting their feminine intuition, their gut, the divine goddess. The 4 a.m. clubbers, I don't think, are going to be scaling the Capitol anytime soon, but I do think...
Can you imagine? By the way, this is why I'm proud to be among these, like excuse me. It's overly simplistic to divide our political discourse into two sides. That's silly. So it's not representative really of the movement that you're in. But if these folks are also going to support the candidate I support, and they want to get Trump out of office, and they want to implement more pro-democracy, pro-working class policies, then they're part of my movement. And I'm proud that their version of coping with the election results is a form of sort of like woo-woo spirituality. Do you know what the form of coping of election results was for MAGA? Scaling the Capitol. So I'm proud for this. It's kind of like the argument I got in with Isabella Moody when she was like, people are losing it over Trump's election results. They're shaving their heads and stuff. I'm like, what? Shaving their head? That's not hurting anyone. You remember what your side did? Sheesh.
I think they represent the next chapter in the story of political conspiracies. It shows that the American population feels both completely out of control and lied to.
Yeah. So let's see. Fast Company reporting on this. Meet the 4 a.m. Club, TikTok's mystical election night movement. This cracks me up because she said, it's people who woke up maybe at 3, maybe at 4, maybe a little later, and they thought they had this strong feeling that Kamala won. And I'm like, well, yeah. That's called hoping. That's called you hoped she won. And I did too. I think I was up at 4 a.m. recording the video that she lost. And I had a mystical feeling. It was like every single part of my digestive tract wanted to come out of my rear end all at once. It was mystical. So here's the founder. Let's see her recap.
4 a.m. fam, we back after the holiday.
Oh, wait. Hold up.
It's been a minute. And in addition, I have about 12,000 new followers. So I think now is a great time to do a recap to let you know what it is we do here. And for those of you who've been here for a while, to re-up, to anchor back into what made us come together in the first place. Now, most of you new folks came in from a post I did that was a rundown of all the post-election nonsense that's been happening in the last couple days. That is what the 4 a.m. Club is here for, is because we do not believe that the results we see now are the results we're going to end up with. We have a higher hope. And the reason we have a higher...
So all this is fine, right? You have a higher hope. Same. We're gonna make it better. Good. Love it. It's going to take a while to get to the conclusion. A lot of what she's saying is just sort of like, I'm spiritual. Spirituality is good, you know, there's connecting, there's energy things, stuff, and belief, and motivation, and passion, and connection, right? So all that's good. I just want to make sure everyone knows we have to do, like, let me just put this crassly. We got to do shit, okay? Feeling and moving and grooving and vibing. And maybe the world, the universe is going to flip it and all of a sudden Kamala's going to be president or something. Like, I don't know if that's what, it's kind of hard to derive meaning from some of what was being said. And I think, again, the Free Press kind of, she maybe analyzed this more than I did, but jumped to some conclusions about what they're claiming. But maybe they are. And if they are, it's sort of like, stop. Just, it's simple. It's really simple what we got to do.
Higher hope is because we were part of something unexplainable that happened to us on election night. And that is why we call it the 4 a.m. Club. We found out in the days and weeks that followed, there were unexplained. Hundreds of thousands of us, perhaps even millions of us, who woke up in the middle of the night. Most of us.
Me, I was a part of that too. When I heard bum, 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 and we have a breaking news update. Bum, 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 bum. Name the next bum. Bum, bum, bum. I woke up and I went. It happened, and then I turned on a camera.
Of us around 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. But we didn't just wake up. We were having a mystical experience. Many people were awoken from dreams where they saw Madam Harris become Madam President. Many also had dreams of maps flipping from red to blue and numbers. Others woke up hearing the voices of loved ones from beyond the veil, or a voice of a spirit guide, perhaps a guardian angel, saying, "It's going to be okay. This isn't right. It's not going to stand. Things are going to be okay." Many people have continued to have these mystical experiences in the days, weeks, and months after the election. It's as though we were awakened, literally, on that night. Those of us like myself who've been on a spiritual path for many...
You were! It was, this is Wolf Blitzer coming onto your TV.
years, these mystical experiences are our new normal. But for other people, this was the first time anything like this has happened, and they are now swiftly on a path of awakening. And that's really my role here, because I am a psychic medium, I'm a healer, and I'm a trance channel. And so what I deliver here is spiritual perspective on all of this political nonsense. Because when I woke up at 4 a.m., I didn't just have the dreams, which I did. I was told to anchor a new timeline, to hold the light. And that's what I did. And in the few weeks after the election, it was an incredible time where the veil was...
Oh my gosh, it's taking so long. Eventually she says the results weren't what they were. That's the notable part. Okay. It's just too much. It's too long. I appreciate stuff. Nancy Nusspickle, said became a member. Thank you so much by clicking the join button. Caitlin Schilling also became a member. Portable Regulation Studio said Trump supporters be like, I wish Trump was my daddy, then I'd have teeth.
You're my daddy.
Caitlin Schilling said, I would love to come see you in Austin, but please come to Denver when you are able. Okay. Unfortunately, we can see what chunks of the audience are where in a general sense based on the YouTube analytics. And you have your LA, New York, Chicago, those big cities. I'd be curious where Denver is in that mix. But eventually, I think we'd do it. I think, honestly, I've never had so many people come up to me as when we were in Denver. So maybe there is a good group of viewers there. Andrew Daw said the psychic mediums are right. Election Truth Alliance has shown this with their data. There was digital voter manipulation in the swing states. Yeah, I've talked a little bit about that, and I dispute as of now that it was outcome determinative, and I think we have to be very careful about such claims. Canoodle said, hi, Luke. What do you think about the tech execs from Palantir, Meta, and OpenAI being sworn in to the Army as lieutenant colonels? Sorry if you already talked about it and I missed it. Thank you all for being so lovely. Thank you. I did talk briefly about the Palantir thing, but honestly, I'm trying to get my head around it. So I'll give more of a breakdown once it's broken down in my head. Krista said, hey again, Luke, Cole, and Jaden. I started with my areas indivisible, and it's cool seeing it from behind the scenes and be to a part of it. Had to share. I think I missed what that do. I think I missed a little bit of the meaning of that, but thank you for writing in. A Jax, is that how you pronounce that? Became a member. Thank you so much. Christopher said, just give he the medium or a mustache and a pillow and a viola. I'm all discombobulated, guys. What just happened? Yes. Okay, so that's that. If you hear about the 4 a.m. club, I gotta be principled. Sorry, I do. I can't just go off claims. I've looked into the election truth thing, and we have to be sober. We gotta be sober about analysis. Doesn't mean that you can't find examples of funny business, but could this have swung the election? Do we have proof of it? And we don't. And we definitely don't. That's been demonstrated in a court of law. That was the standard we held them to. That's what I'm going to hold us to. It's very important. I don't care if anyone gets mad at me. I stand by my principle on that. Elizabeth Warren got asked about the new Democratic nominee for mayor in New York City with a good shot to become the mayor, Zohran Mamdani, and was asked by the CNBC host about the socialist label that Mamdani uses. Now, I've made clear to all you, I'm not a socialist, and if someone tried to implement full socialism, depending on how you define that, which everyone defines it differently, it could be very bad. Often, though, in our politics, given that we are a very capitalistic country, when people say they're a democratic socialist, they just mean they're going to be trying to implement left-of-center policies that often, like when you look at Mamdani's proposals, it ain't the USSR or whatever. And many of them are really, really good ideas that would be very effective. And that's kind of the point, I think. I wish they wouldn't use that label, but I think it's to call attention to the fact that they want to implement change. And then some things he's proposed I disagree with as well. But Elizabeth Warren does a really good thing here when asked about it, which is, oh, you're scared of that? Well, why aren't you scared of the thing happening now with Republicans ripping away people's health care?
We don't have a lot of time left. Do you think he's a socialist? He's a self-avowed socialist. Do you think socialism is the correct path to do what you just said you wanted to do for working Americans? Do you? I mean, that's what he is. Let's just talk about. And we're the center of the universe for capitalism in New York City. And Wall Street, whether you love it or hate it, I know it has a connotation in certain areas, but it's the financial engine for all the great things that happen in the U.S. in terms of the private sector and raising money for companies and the stock market. All these great things that provide all the jobs, That's where you get the tax money to spend on all these great things you want to spend it on. Do you think that's the right thing?
I did see a stat, by the way, that wealthier people in New York City broke for Mamdani. So maybe he's not as scary to them as Mr. Joe here thinks.
For New York City?
You don't have to push me. I believe in markets. I love markets. I think markets are fabulous when they're honest markets. As you know, because we've had these discussions before. For example, we need markets with rules. Markets without rules are just theft. And that's part of why we need strong antitrust enforcement. But what our new mayor, I hope will be mayor-elect in New York City, is talking about is how to make that economy work for families. Where is your outrage over a Republican Party that is saying we want to fund even more tax giveaways to billionaires? We want to make sure that Meta gets a check, if this bill passes, for $15 billion, not for anything they do in the future, but for investments they made 3 years ago. We want to give them a check for $15 billion while we take away health care from everyone else, while we drive up utility costs for everyone else. That's not how we build a strong...
So that's... I've said it before. I know it can feel sort of like a political game, but that should be the answer to everything. You know how Trump would get asked about anything and he had these canned responses? Hey, you say that Biden's mishandling Ukraine. What would you do differently? It never would have happened if I were president. It never would have happened. I'm going to complete it. I'm going to finish it. I'm going to solve it in 24 hours. 24 hours from when I get elected. It never would have happened if I were president. So much jazz. The domes are getting crushed. It never would have happened, right? And then, and all of you guys have...
I was being a little bit sarcastic when I said that.
Right? And then now he says that about it. But then you have, all right, you killed a border security legislation. Why'd you kill it? And what would you do differently than Biden as president when it comes to the border? People are coming from jails. They're coming from mental institutions. They call them insane asylums. A little bit worse. Hannibal Lecter, he's coming across the border. Kills you if he kills you if he kills. Same thing on that. And go down the list of areas. Democrats need to be as repetitive, but with more accurate, honest points, which is to say, oh, you asked about literally anything? Let me tell you about how Republicans are ripping away people's Medicaid and their SNAP benefits, all in service of tax cuts that will disproportionately benefit the top. That message, it should be repeated. It is true, and it's one of the most politically damaging messages I've ever heard in my entire life. So do it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Like Trump does with his weirdness, but do it with the good stuff. I don't know how a party does not get electorally, politically thumped when they have a bill that both gives money to rich people and takes away poor people's health care and food. I literally don't know how that doesn't lead to an electoral landslide for the other party. And that's what I'm saying. We can get all caught up in things we're not going to change about this, that, ooh, ah, ee, ooh, and vibes. Or we can just pound that message over and over and over and over and over. Did Trump win this election because he screamed the last election was stolen? No, he won because he kept repeating stuff about the economy and the border. Most of which was built on a foundation of lies, but people resonated with it. In our case, we have truths that we can repeat over and over. Please, damn it! Okay. Raven Feather said, dude, I'm a witch. And I know that what this lady is saying is complete bullshit.
Bullshit.
Thank you. Jason Townsend became a member. I appreciate you. Christopher said I meant her. Just give her a mustache and pillow, i.e. she's a grifter, charlatan. Yeah. No, hey, I agree. Shelly Madison became a member. I appreciate you. Sheffy said I love Lizzie. Dated her in high school. The girl can party. Who's Lizzie? Was that the
Elizabeth Warren?
Really? Is that real? I just want to say, here, let me bring this tab back. I would spend a considerable amount of money to go party with Elizabeth Warren. That would be iconic. Can you imagine us just that would be iconic. Like Pink Pony Club and just me and Elizabeth Warren. Tax increase taxes on the wealthy. Yeah. I just realized I need that in my life. I need it in my life. All right. We talked about on the main show yesterday, Mr. Liver King. Liver King, Liver King, Liver King. This is his mugshot. He was okay. I don't want to give the whole thing because I already explained it, but essentially he built a whole influencer mania of this ton of fame off of being the Liver King, and he ate raw liver and he ate raw meats and he ate raw testicles and he just all these things about eating all meat and saying false. Excuse me, I apologize. Saying false medical things. And encouraging young men. He's saying he's solving the suicide crisis by telling them to eat meat and work out, which is good. The medical misinformation is not good. So he was doing that, and then he was saying, I don't touch steroids. Well, he got exposed for doing steroids, obviously, because of the way that he looked. And then emails exposed where he's like, give me a lot, baby. It was really funny. Like, he's out at the same day he's out going, I've never touched steroids. And then he's writing to his doctor, like, really juice me up. And so he gets exposed for that. He kind of falls out of relevance because his whole brand was built on a lie. And then to try to get it back, he threatens Joe Rogan and says, I want to fight you. I want to fight you. I'm going to kill you. Choke me out. It feels so good. He literally said that. Choke me out. It's a dream of mine. It would feel so good. Okay. And got arrested for terroristic threats. So now he supposedly has an ankle monitor on and has to stay 200 feet away from Joe Rogan. Here's his video responding.
All that stuff. I said, Christian, you know I'm not going to eat all that.
Oh, wait, let's go back to this.
But Rogan versus Liver King,
it was
not what you...
Rogan never responded to that or agreed to it or said anything. He just started inventing in his head. He's having some sort of breakdown.
I'm talking about the filmmaker, the funny, the actual genius comedian, good and true. That guy's good and true. I'll pick a funny fight with him. So we're going to go there for that reason. But 200 yards, restrain myself I must do. If anybody, here's how we do it. If anybody's last name is Rogan and you're in the capital of Austin, Texas, like Capitol Hill stuff place, like where they make laws like Rogan versus Liver King, where bullies that are big, that don't just do good and true, are held accountable, yeah, that's where I'm going to go. So if you don't mind, just don't be there for a little while within 200 yards.
By the way, you think good and true things, the epitome of good and true happens at the Texas state capitol? Like I'm here in Austin, very close to the Capitol. I love the Capitol. I love Austin. I love Texas with its flaws. But the epitome of good and truth at the Texas state Capitol? Do you keep up with politics, Liver King? Oh, just heard it. You don't.
Oh, how about this? If your first name starts with a J and the last name is Rogan, announce yourself if you're at Capitol. In the actual Capitol, like where it looks really cool. Where is it at? Where are you at, Capitol? That's where we're going, somewhere.
Should we see if we can interview him? Maybe we'll do that. He really clearly wants attention. I'll give it to him. I'll give him some attention. I'll give him some love. I mean, I'll have to grill him on most things, but, you know, maybe we can fight. No, I'm kidding. That's not real. Don't lose it. Don't have a whole thing. Parasocial relationship that he's clearly having with Rogan. But, I mean, I guess if you want someone to choke you out and you're so into it. Kidding. I'm not going to do that.
You're my daddy.
All right, Eric Adams, I hope, is on his way out, mayor of New York City. But one thing people in New York are saying they're going to miss are his videos like this one, where he teaches parents how to search their kids' rooms for paraphernalia.
You can look in a jewelry box. A jewelry box of this nature, maybe a simple jewelry box, but if you look through it closely, you don't know what your child may be hiding. For instance, a gun. Look at picture frames and behind them, cameras. Try to determine what's taking place. Behind a picture frame, you can find bullets. You should always, when your child brings in his popular knapsack with many different locations, look through it to see what exactly is your child carrying in addition to a book. Something simple as a crack pipe. Something.
It's so good. Something simple as a crack pipe.
Carrying in addition to a book. Something simple as a crack pipe. Something simple as a baby doll. Could be just a baby doll, but also it could be a place where you can secrete or hide drugs. Run your hands over the pillow.
Yeah. Iconic. Those will be missed. The U.S. economy shrank much faster in the first quarter than previously reported. This is interesting. Sad, bad. Interesting, nevertheless. The U.S. economy contracted in the beginning of the year at a much faster pace than previously reported after new data factored in much weaker consumer spending. So originally we thought it was 0.2% decline, which is a swing from the quarter before of 2.4%. That's crazy. Look, wing. That's called a swing. All the way. Or a drop. Boom, bing, bong, boom. Like a Elon's rocket. Bing, boom. So rocket. Down to the... Sorry. I'm trying to have a conversation with Trump in my voice and then Trump's voice, and it's not going well. But you get the point. 2.1% to negative 2%. And then it actually was negative 0.5%. I said 2%. 0.2%, negative 0.5% now. And that's bad. That's bad, despite Trump saying that he's already fixed everything.
I think the good parts are the Trump economy and the bad parts are the Biden economy.
Yeah, that's what he says. Yes! I love that. I love that you got that. And I have to be honest, this economy that Trump is now overseeing has got me like...
Girls, what's just happened?
So, there's an ice cream van there selling just 2 ice creams with 2 chewing gums in it.
Yeah.
For bloody £9 for 2 of them.
£9 for 2?
Yeah, £9. That is going to get nowhere. The one that comes on my street is either £1 a p or £2. That is going to get nowhere with that.
No, he ain't, is it?
No, he ain't.
That's well bad, isn't it?
Yeah, you should know. And he only does bloody card. Stood there with my cash. Bloody hell.
Trump's America, ladies and gentlemen. Trump's America. Okay, John, despite that very much not being in America, but John Ossoff had a really good moment that I'll show you here with John Voight, or Vote, and that's the OMB director. And so he's been overseeing a lot of the cuts to departments, and he tries to do some funny business, and John Ossoff shuts him down.
The CDC. Have you visited the CDC, Mr. Vogt, by chance?
I have not.
It is the flagship epidemiological and public health agency for the country and indeed for the world.
That even the Biden administration felt the need to reform.
You have now fired or tried to fire nearly a quarter of the workforce, correct?
Senator, are you suggesting the CDC performed well in the last pandemic?
I asked you whether you have fired or tried to fire a quarter of the CDC workforce.
I can't answer the question because I don't have
you
the facts in front of me. That's
you have
the CDC
fired or tried to fire
information to
nearly a quarter of the CDC workforce, and your budget request for FY26 would cut the CDC budget in more than half, correct?
The Center for Disease Control.
Answer the question.
They were incompetent.
Answer the question, Mr. Vogt.
Pandemic.
Does your budget request seek to cut by more than half the CDC budget?
We certainly seek to cut and reduce
by more than
CDC.
half.
Did I say John Vogt? It took me 1 minute to realize I might have said John Vogt. Is that the actor that we talk about sometimes? I think so. This is Russell vote. So if you've been in the audience like, it was John, it was John, it was John, it was John. I'm sorry. I failed you.
The CDC budget. Listen, Mr. Vote, you need to come to Georgia and visit the CDC. Good. We'll make that happen because you are destroying this institution. And whatever criticism you have about their past performance, they are essential to public health and epidemiological defense in the United States. You're crushing morale, you're crushing capability, and you're destroying my constituents' lives. And I am grateful for the commitment you've made to come to Georgia and visit the CDC and sit down with those employees. Thank you, Madam Chair.
The Biden administration.
I don't want to hear about the Biden administration.
Well,
you're here on behalf of the Trump administration.
Yeah.
Objective analysis, objective analysis, objective analysis. Listen to Vought, Russell Vought, his reaction here.
Employees. Thank you, Madam
Biden
Chair.
administration.
I don't want to hear about the Biden administration. You're here on behalf of the Trump administration.
Yeah. He's like, oh, shoot.
You're here on behalf of the Trump administration.
Oh, that was sad. Yeah. Yeah, like a little puppy. Oh, Russie, Gussie. Raven Feather said, FYI, Josh Johnson sold out at least 4 shows in large arenas here in Denver. Well, guess we got to do large arenas then. That's our next stop. Dang it, it's over. I have to leave it there. Darn, I was having fun. I appreciate all of you, and I'll talk to you next time.